Welcome to the deep dive. We take your sources, peel back the layers, and hopefully unearth some surprising knowledge just for you.
Looking forward to it.
Today we're embarking on, well, a really extraordinary journey. It's a deep dive into the spiritual world described in Nosso Lar.
Ah, yes, by Francisco Cândido Xavier, channeled through André Luiz.
Exactly. And our mission really is to explore this incredibly detailed vision he presents of an afterlife colony. You know, trying to understand what it might reveal about life, death, and honestly, the pretty astonishing potential of human consciousness beyond the physical.
It really is a remarkable text. It offers a kind of blueprint, doesn't it, for existence far beyond what most people probably imagine.
Right.
And it directly challenges a lot of assumptions about what happens after we shed the physical body.
Definitely.
We're going to discover just how intensely our choices on Earth seem to reverberate into this next phase, according to this source.
Okay, let's jump right in then, because the journey, it starts in a pretty dark place, actually. Disorienting.
Very much so.
We first meet André Luiz after his death, and he wakes up in what he calls the zonus inferiors.
Yeah, the lower zones.
Can you imagine the shock, finding yourself just plunged into this confusion, this despair? He says he felt like a miserable goblin or an unfortunate beggar.
It's stark language.
It really is. And it's this immediate, brutal realization that his past actions directly shaped his afterlife environment, right then and there.
No delay.
No delay. He describes this painful introspection, admitting, and this is a quote, "I understood that something remains above all merely intellectual cogitation, that something is faith, a divine manifestation to man."
And what's really striking, considering his background, I mean, he was a doctor, right?
Yes, a medical doctor.
Deeply rooted in, the scientific materialism of his time.
Yeah.
Yet here he is, after death, still feeling intense physical needs, hunger, thirst.
Which must have been incredibly confusing.
Utterly. All that intellectual knowledge he'd gathered on Earth suddenly is kind of secondary to this overwhelming spiritual reality he was facing.
Right.
And this initial suffering, it wasn't some arbitrary punishment being handed down.
No.
It was a direct internal consequence of his own unexamined life, his choices, especially the text mentions his sort of suicide through excess and neglecting his body.
Okay.
It's a powerful point about, the limits of intellect if it's not paired with spiritual growth.
And his suffering immediately draws us into understanding this place, the Umbral. It's this perplexing zone where apparently many spirits first awaken. The source describes it not as some, far-off hell, but as this nebulous, shadowy area that's literally attached to the Earth's crust.
Which is a chilling idea in itself, that proximity.
Isn't it? It highlights these immediate spiritual consequences, and it's filled with spirits who, in life, did not resolve to cross the doors of sacred duties.
Stuck in indecision.
Yeah, lingering in the valley of indecision or the swamp of numerous errors, as the text puts it.
And it's really crucial, I think, to grasp that this isn't presented as a preordained hell.
No, not externally imposed.
Right. It's more like a self-created purgatory. Individuals are there because of their own unresolved stuff.
Yeah.
Hatred, unchecked passions, moral neglect.
They're certainly not finding the Lord at the disposal of their whims there.
Definitely not. The source describes it as filled with pervasive disturbances, with verdugos and victims, exploiters and exploited.
Wow.
Basically, people not maybe perverse enough for even deeper regions, but certainly not noble enough yet for higher realms.
It really hammers home the immediate impact of neglecting spiritual growth during life.
It does, a purgatory of one's own making, essentially. Does the text suggest, though, that anyone can eventually leave, or can people get truly stuck there just by their own will?
That's a really good question. The text seems to imply that escape is always possible.
Okay.
But it requires a pretty profound shift in consciousness, right? A willingness to actually face those self-created errors.
Which for many might be the hardest part.
Exactly. The turning point for André Luiz, though, is his rescue. It's quite pivotal. He's rescued by Clarêncio, who's described as a generous emissary of God.
Right.
And his arrival at Nosso Lar, it's like night and day compared to the Umbral.
A complete shift.
Total shift. From that oppressive darkness, suddenly he's surrounded by this gentle, comforting light, beautiful gardens. He finds himself in a kind of hospital setting designed for healing and recovery.
Okay. A place to mend.
Yes. And this new place, the spiritual colony, is described beautifully as a colony of work consecrated to Christ.
Just imagine the sheer relief he must have felt.
Oh, absolutely.
Going from that utter despair to this this tangible sense of comfort and safety. It really underscores the power of compassion and intervention in this spiritual realm.
Yeah.
This immediate help is where the real spiritual healing can finally start, setting the stage for, well, the very structured life within Nosso Lar.
Right. So after the darkness, André arrives, and Nosso Lar reveals itself as this incredibly organized society.
Meticulously organized.
It's divided into 6 distinct ministries. Let me see if I remember them. Regeneration. Auxilio, which is aid comunicação, esclarecimento, enlightenment.
Elevation and union divina, divine union.
That's it, 6. And this whole spiritual city apparently operates with remarkable efficiency. It even has its own transport system, the aerobus.
Yeah, like a kind of aerial car or a massive funicular is how it's described.
Wow. And music playing in workshops to intensify the performance of service. The level of organization is quite something.
It is. It almost makes you wonder, is it just a well-oiled machine or something even more?
More organic, maybe?
Yes, exactly. It feels more like a living, evolving organism. It's led by this figure, the governador, who sounds tirelessly dedicated.
Right, him and his 72 ministers.
And those first 4 ministries you mentioned, regeneration, aid, communication, enlightenment, they mostly deal with matters closer to Earth and its inhabitants, offering help and guidance. But the other 2, Elevação and Union Divina, they connect to higher planes. Elevation guides spirits towards more refined states.
Oh.
While divine union is focused on connecting directly with the divine source, universal consciousness, it's fascinating how the structure itself seems to mirror spiritual progress.
That's a great point about the layering. And the text mentions Nosso Lar is actually ancient, right? Founded way back.
Yes, by distinguished Portuguese spirits who disincarnated in Brazil in the 16th century. Adds a whole historical, cultural layer to it.
It really does. But importantly, this highly refined place, it's not the final destination.
No, not at all.
The source really emphasizes it's a transition zone, a training ground, basically, for spiritual growth and service.
A school, almost.
Yeah. And the core message seems to be ignorance and suffering are self-inflicted, and the solution for our problems lies in work.
That's a radical statement, isn't it? Not just theological. It really puts the power, the agency back in the individual's hands.
Totally. If suffering is self-inflicted, it implies we have this immense power to reshape things through our choices.
Turns passive victimhood into active creation. And the governador, he sets the example. Even leading this vast colony, he apparently rarely rests.
Really?
His glory is the service parade, continuous service. Residents even have mandatory vacations to recuperate, but the law of work is fundamental.
Wow.
It just underscores that continuous effort, continuous service is key for spiritual evolution there.
And speaking of work, let's talk about their economy. It's unique. The bônus-hora.
Ah, yes, the hour bonus.
It's not money like we think of it, but a token of individual service. Every spirit has to contribute, a minimum of 8 hours of useful service daily?
That's the minimum, yes.
And this system, this bônus-hora, determines your access to things like better clothing, private homes, even opportunities for more study or social activities. The message seems crystal clear. Nothing exists without a price, and to receive, one must give something. Imagine a society where your wealth is purely measured by the impact of your service.
It's a powerful concept. The bônus-hora isn't just spiritual currency. It's a total reevaluation of worth. Contribution defines your standing.
So basic needs are covered communally.
Yes, elementary clothing, basic food, that's communal. But earning bônus-hora gives you privileges, access to better amenities, more comfortable housing.
So it's not about what you have, but what you do.
Exactly. The conscious application of your time and effort in service. The source says the fundamental granary is collective property, but those who contribute justly acquire rights. It completely shifts the paradigm of value.
Okay, now André Luiz's journey. It takes him into some pretty sobering areas, especially when he starts working in the Ministry of Regeneration.
Ah, yes.
He ends up in the Cámaras de Rectificación, the rectification chambers.
Not a pleasant posting.
No. Listeners should brace themselves. The depiction is quite raw. It's described as a series of vast chambers filled with true human debris.
Grim.
Featuring skeletal hands and monstrous faces, all reflecting terrible spiritual misery. It sounds like something out of a nightmare, but with this deep karmic undertone.
It's an incredibly stark picture. The force says the air there is filled with groans, sobs, painful phrases. But again, this isn't arbitrary punishment.
Right, it's they hacked it.
These conditions are direct manifestations of past earthly actions. The source puts it bluntly. The body is the spirit's history.
Wow.
You see these direct consequences, like it says, the unforeseen man who spent his eyes on evil appears here with empty sockets.
Chilling.
Or the poor obsessed by sexual aberrations usually arrive in extreme madness. Its cause and effect laid bare.
So it's truly an internal reckoning. The cure has to come from within them. Andre's own experience must have driven that home for him.
Oh, absolutely. His own illnesses mentioned in the text, like the cancerous elements and syphilis he suffered from,
Right.
were presented as direct results of his earthly lifestyle, his lack of self-control. So the healing process in Nosso Lar is all about recognizing and purging these internal germs of perversion, as the text calls them, accumulated through moral neglect.
Not just getting external treatment.
No, the cause persists within until they rid themselves of it. It's self-confrontation, self-rectification.
There's a particularly unsettling case mentioned in these chambers involving a caregiver named Narcisa
A very compassionate figure.
and a woman referred to as the vampiro.
Ah, yes, the vampire.
This woman, a gynecologist on Earth who performed abortions, appears surrounded by 58 black points.
Each representing, chillingly, the mental image of an annihilated little child.
Yet, despite this severe spiritual condition, she denies everything.
Vehemently denies any wrongdoing, clings to this illusion of her own goodness.
That's disturbing.
It powerfully illustrates how self-deception can just prolong the suffering in the afterlife. The chief vigilante who oversees recovery there says something quite chilling about her.
What's that?
He says, "She exhibits the condition of a criminal and declares herself innocent. She is profoundly evil and affirms herself to be good and pure. She suffers desperately and alleges tranquility. She created a hell for herself and asserts she is looking for heaven."
Wow. That lack of self-awareness, that refusal to repent,
Yeah.
it becomes its own torment.
Exactly. It can keep someone in those rectification chambers indefinitely, more than any external judgment could.
But Nosso Lar isn't only about reckoning, is it? It also offers these really profound insights into connection, relationships, things that endure.
Absolutely. Family bonds, for instance, they seem to continue in very meaningful ways.
Like André Luiz's reunion with his mother. It's described as deeply moving.
Yes, and she continues to guide and support him, even from higher spheres.
And there's this concept of domestic gospel worship,
A family ritual?
where loved ones who have reincarnated, like Ricardo, who is Lísias' father,
Right.
can temporarily rejoin their spiritual families for this worship. It just highlights how love really does seem to transcend physical death in this view.
It's a beautiful picture of ongoing support, ongoing evolution within families, regardless of physical separation. And Ricardo's request during one of these reunions is fascinating.
What does he ask for?
He specifically asks not to have facilities on Earth, not to have an easy life.
Really? Why?
It shows this profound understanding that challenges, difficulties, they can actually foster greater spiritual growth. His mother explains that the work is a divine tonic for the heart, reinforcing that idea of earned progress.
That's quite counterintuitive to how we usually think.
Yeah, it is.
And then there's the really unique case of Tobias's family. He has two wives, Hilda and Luciana,
Yes, and they coexist in spiritual harmony in Nosso Lar.
which completely challenges our earthly ideas about marriage.
It does. It suggests that in Nosso Lar, relationships are defined more by spiritual affinity and fraternity than by our conventional physical or social structures.
The source says the spiritual marriage occurs soul to soul.
Right. And other unions might serve different purposes like trial or duty.
Right.
It's a radical rethinking.
So how did Hilda and Luciana get to that point of harmony? It must have been difficult initially.
Oh, extremely. Hilda's story is key. She initially struggled with intense jealousy when Tobias remarried on Earth after her death. She even apparently tried to fight Luciana in the Umbral.
Wow.
But with help from her grandmother and a lot of self-reflection and service in Nosso Lar, she managed to embrace fraternity.
That's quite a transformation.
Her journey really underscores that idea that, well, the quote is something like, "Where the effort to mend is a task for almost everyone, there must be room for much understanding and much respect for divine mercy." It speaks volumes about the potential for change in relationships there.
And finally, André Luiz himself has this crucial personal breakthrough. He encounters Silvera.
The man his family wronged on Earth.
Exactly. And encouraged by Narcisa, André Luiz actually humbles himself and goes to seek forgiveness,
Which is a huge step.
demonstrating how vital reconciliation is for spiritual progress.
Narcisa's advice there is so powerful. She tells him, "It is a great happiness to recognize one's own errors." She really urges him to take the initiative, reminding him that Undertaking worthy actions, whatever they may be, represents legitimate honor for the soul.
So actively pursuing forgiveness, not just waiting.
Exactly. That active step is vital for his own growth and sort of liberation from that past issue.
Okay, so from these really personal stories, let's broaden out again to some of the more cosmic or environmental principles described in Nosso Lar. Like in the Bosque das Águas, the water grove. Water, there isn't just water.
No, it's quite different.
It's described as a vehicle for fluids of any nature. It serves as both food and medicine.
And it's believed to absorb the mental characteristics of its inhabitants.
Which highlights this incredible interconnection between thought, environment, well-being. It's not just symbolic, is it? It sounds like the actual energy or frequency of thoughts imbues the water.
That's exactly the implication. The water in Nosso Lar is described as much more tenuous, pure, almost fluidic than earthly water. Apparently, the Ministry of Divine Union is responsible for its general magnetization, keeping it pure for everyone.
Wow.
And the source stresses that even on Earth, water carries not just physical stuff, but also expressions of our mental life. It can become noxious in perverse hands and useful in generous hands.
That really expands how we might think about water's properties.
Far beyond the purely chemical.
The narrative also touches on how the spiritual realm reacts to big earthly events, like the start of World War II in 1939.
Yes, that's a significant moment.
Nosso Lar apparently experiences a higher summons for aid because these black phalanxes of ignorance on Earth are causing huge spiritual disruption.
Immense perturbation. And the perspective from the higher spirits is interesting. They don't view the aggressive nations as, like, personal enemies, more as disorderly forces whose destructive actions need to be repressed for the greater balance.
Kind of like containing a disease.
In a way, yes. And the Gobernador's advice to the residents during this time is very telling. Affliction does not build, anxiety does not edify.
A powerful reminder of inner peace, even when chaos is erupting nearby, or in this case, on the plain below.
Exactly. The text explains that aggressor nations, driven by pride, vanity, egoism, become these powerful nuclei of centralization of evil forces.
Drawing in negative spiritual energies.
Yes, legions of infernal spirits, as the book calls them, who then help precipitate destructive actions on Earth. It shows how deeply earthly conflicts echo spiritually, demanding intervention and rebalancing from higher spheres.
And finally, we see André Luiz's own transformation culminate. He even has that brief return visit to Earth.
Right, where he observes his family.
But he can't really interact with them directly, can he? His spiritual state has shifted too much.
It reinforces that gap, that difference in vibration between the planes.
Yeah, and when he gets back to Nosso Lar, there's this significant moment. Clarêncio declares him a citizen of Nosso Lar.
A recognition of his service, his inner growth.
It really symbolizes that he's earned his place there, found his new purpose.
Absolutely. It's a recognition of how far he's come from that self-absorbed, suffering spirit in the Umbral to a dedicated worker contributing to the collective good. He even experiences volitation, the ability to fly or levitate, for the first time on his return trip.
Oh, interesting.
Which is presented as a direct sign of his spiritual elevation, his increased lightness of being. The message seems clear. The only unfortunate one in the divine work is the improvident spirit, who condemned himself to the darkness of evil.
And André Luiz managed to avoid that fate.
Through active service, through humility, yes.
So this whole deep dive into Nosso Lar, it paints a picture of the afterlife that is anything but passive.
Far from it. It's a realm of active learning, intense self-reflection, constant service.
And the consequences of our choices are immediate, profound.
It really raises a powerful question for all of us, doesn't it? What does it truly mean to earn your place in a spiritual home, whatever that might look like?
Yeah, and how might understanding that perspective maybe change our daily actions now?
Knowing that every moment, every thought, every act might be shaping the landscape of our own future existence.
Are we cultivating the qualities that will truly serve us beyond the physical? Something to think about.